Hi everybody, I'm back and I want to go ahead and show you that second needle book that I wasn't able to show you in the last video, okay? Alright, let's get started. Okay, so here's the second one. And just like the last book, I started out with a cream colored felt. I covered it with this beautiful blue fabric. I think it was from a really pretty tablecloth. And then on top of that, I layered it with this lovely netting lace here. Okay. And then at the top and the bottom, I layered with this beautiful scalloped lace. And this lace came from an old shirt from the 1940s, believe it or not. I normally don't take apart things that are in perfect for use and whatnot, but this shirt was entirely see-through. I mean, just as see-through as this, you know, the netting on it. It was very see-through, and I thought, well, how do you pull that off wearing something like that? I'm sure it probably came with other pieces that were, you know, a part of the entire outfit, the skirt and something like that, but I didn't have that. I just had the shirt, so I felt it was okay to tear that apart. And then also, the shirt was so small, as women were just tiny back then, and I think, you know, the only person who could wear it now is a 9-year-old girl, but we don't want 9-year-old girls wearing see-through shirts, do we? So okay, so then I also put this beautiful applique here, this rose applique, and then I finished off the edges of the cover front and back with this lovely daisy chain. Okay, and then this seam binding, even the seam binding here, this is vintage seam binding, so it's thinner than the seam binding that you find today, the modern stuff, and it just has such a sweet feel to it. So, but it should still hold up for you pretty well, okay? I would think, anyway. Okay, let's dig in. So here's the first page, and actually, I've got this card that I made. It goes inside of the pocket here on the first page. Oops. There we go. And I've only got one hand, so it's a little more. There you go. Fits right in there, see? And so this is just a real sweet little thing, notion that I thought would be nice to have in the book. It is a quilted piece of fabric. So there's actually a thin layer of 100% cotton quilting, batting, I guess, on the inside. And then I've just kind of quilted it down. As you can see, I did kind of a rectangle quilt stitch. And then along the edge, I did this lovely blanket stitch in like a pale pink. And then here's the back. Whoops. There's the back. Real pretty. And then here's the front, obviously. And I've got this real sweet netting, embroidered netting lace, just kind of as a little, you know, softener upper there, because that's kind of a darker pattern on that, but it's really sweet. I had to use it. And then I've got these pearl buttons here that I thought would be really pretty to add in there. And there's a little needle, and this is just real handy for holding buttons that you intend to use, and needles and different things like that. Just real handy to have something like this in your needle book. Okay, so as you can see, I've got a pink background on the inside, and then I've got this same netting here just to kind of echo what you see on the card, and that's just really softening, I think. So I decided to put that, and then I've got some daisies along the edge and the bottom. And I've got this, now this here, this is not crochet. I've heard a lot of people call this crochet, and it's not. I crochet, so I know. And I know a lot about laces. I am an antiques dealer and appraiser. I'm not extremely knowledgeable in lace, but I'm fairly. So this is an antique lace, and it's actually a machine lace. And I think what this is to mimic is like a bobbin lace. But it's not crochet at all, but it is an early machine lace. So that's what that is. Okay, and then up here, you can see this is the same kind of lace that I've got on the front. But it ended up being, I don't know how this worked, but it was like the perfect shape for kind of an arch. It was a remnant, and it was a perfect shape for that, so I decided to put it there. And then these, I just kind of placed almost in a shingle, like when you're doing shingle, the shingles on top of a roof or something like that. I kind of placed those there along the way here. And then I finished it off with a daisy in the center top. Okay, so there's that. And then on this page, I went ahead and did a really, really sweet netting lace background with a lovely scallop across the top. And then down at the bottom is a different kind of antique netting lace. So both of these are antique. And then I just put this really sweet daisy applique across to just kind of differentiate between this lace and this lace. And then on top of that, I built a sheaf for your scissors out of felt, and I did a blanket stitch all across the top or the front and back. And then I don't know if you can see it peeking from underneath this lace, but just all across, all around the sheaf, I did that sweet blanket stitch. And then on top of that, I covered it with this beautiful, beautiful lace applique here. That's really sweet. And then I finished it off with these two daisies on either side. Okay, and then we've got a sweet daisy up there as well. Okay, I do want to say not every page in this needle book is layered with anything, because I did want to leave a few for the person who gets this to make it their own. I wanted you to have a chance maybe to practice, or if you have some lovely prize pieces of lace that you'd like to put in this book, I thought it would be courteous for me to leave something for you. So you'll find a few pages, but most of the pages are done. So anyhow, on this page, again, you'll see I started with a really sweet antique netting lace. And then down here, you'll see this really sweet piece. I actually was lucky enough to get a set. I think it was a set of 6 or 4 never used vintage hankies. I think they were from the 40s, because they were in a box, and the box looked 40s, the style of the hankies. And so yeah, I got all these sweet hankies, perfect, never used. And on the edge of each hanky was a corner of this triangle lace. I was so thrilled to find that. I thought, oh my goodness. So they were pretty plain. They were very plain, in fact, but they had the lace. So I went ahead and took the lace, and then this beautiful bow here, this was actually kind of a little gift in that same set of hankies, vintage hankies. If you felt this bow, you would just be in heaven. It feels like rabbit ear or something. It's just so soft. Or if you've got a real sweet cat with really soft ears, then you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just so darling. I love it. Okay, and then so I layered that, and then on top of that, I went ahead and put this second layer of felt. And I covered that with just some 1960s, I think, basic lace. It's just real basic. But it's pretty, isn't it? And then I've got some daisies here, and I've got this little sweet applique here, and I've got some daisies running along here. You can use that as a tuck or to hook something or whatever you want to do there. And then this sweet darling right here, this is another, you've seen this in the other book. It's one of those corded roses, like a ribbon. It's just so beautiful. I think it's probably from the 1930s or 40s. I pretty sure it's not any newer than that, but it's just so sweet. And I only got 3 of these, so I've only got 1 more left that hasn't been used, but I had to put this in this book. It is just divine. It's so beautiful. Okay, so here's a lovely vintage stick pin, which, yes, everything you see in this book is included in the book, so I'm going to describe the jewelry and stuff too. So here's a beautiful stick pin, and it's vintage. It's a lovely filigree design with a mill grain surface, and then in the center you'll see this lovely piece here, which is, I think it's supposed to be a faux opal or faux moonstone, but obviously it's glass, which is nice because their vintage art glass was really lovely. I was trying to see if this was signed, but it's not. But you know, it's just a wonderful quality vintage piece, and it's got its original bottom to it. And of course, you can wear this or put it on your, maybe if you've got like a hat pin cushion or whatever. I mean, you can do whatever you want with this beautiful piece. It's very versatile, but and it also looks nice in the book, right? You've got an embroidery needle here, okay, and then on this page, pardon me, I'm out of frame here. On this page, I've got just a real sweet backdrop of, like, I think it's like a organdy with just embroider, and this is very machine, and I think this is even kind of modern, like from the 80s or something like that, or 90s even. So but it's pretty, right? We like beautiful. So and then what I did was I just kind of put these bits of lace here, lace trims on either side, and then I just stuck these safety pins in here. It's a great way to hold your safety pins. And then I've got daisies running along top and bottom. Here's a pretty stick pin for you. I'm not going to pull it all the way out, but it's about that long. So it's a nice long piece for you. And I think I got this in like a bag of jewelry or something like that I bought at a sale or something. So I'm not sure on its age, but from the looks of it, it really looks like a 1980s piece to me, which is kind of popular nowadays. So, but anyway, it's real sweet, okay? All right. So like I said, not every page is done, and I wanted to leave that for you. If you've got some prized laces or bits of jewelry or little tidbits, I thought you would really like to, you know, include that into this beautiful book. All right, so here's the next page. Now this page, again, I went ahead and put a real pretty lace in the background as just the first layer, and this is an antique lattice type of lace trim, but it's a wide trim, so it was wide enough to kind of cover the whole page. Isn't that so pretty? And it's got really sweet age spots. You guys, I love the age spots on lace and old lace and fabric. I think anything that's aged, whether it's metal or wood or lace, fabric, it just adds to the richness of it. It adds to the beauty. I absolutely love age spots. So you're getting some age spots in this, if you were wondering. It's just beautiful. Okay, so on top of that, I put this. Now this too is an old piece. This is probably from the 1940s, this piece right here. And it's just a nice, beautiful kind of a swag sway kind of a thing. And I just kind of put that on the edge. Isn't that so sweet how it kind of sticks over? I love that. So I put that, and then on top of that I layered some more of these sweet daisies just to give a little bit more dimension. See? And then this was some antique trim that I got. This is probably like 19 teens or something like that, or maybe even real late, like 1890s, late 1890s. But it's just really pretty, and I got this in like a roll. I was so thankful. I mean, I've just been so blessed. There are a lot of really sweet elderly women, or you know, people I know or who've seen me at shows and things, and they know that I like to use old things to create my art. and they just bless me, and they bring me so much, and it's real. It's, you know, something that was, it's things that were, you know, belong to their grandmother or their aunt, or, you know, and they don't do handiwork. So, and they know I do. And so they just bless me. And you guys, I'm always so very grateful. I really am. I know that this kind of thing is hard to come by. And, you know, I wanted to let you all know, too, I'm going to be having lots of laces and things like that available in my Etsy shop. So if you're looking for real pretty things that you can use, keep that in mind, because I will be having lots of that available in the near future, okay? All right, so here's another beautiful pin that I had to put in this. I just had to. It's so sweet. This is a dried flower stick pin. And can you see that in there? Isn't that lovely? Isn't that just beautiful? And then I've got this beautiful scallop design around. It's so much more beautiful in person. It's so sweet. And then it's encased in this, I think this is like a lucite kind of bulb encasing on it, but it's so pretty, you guys. And this, I don't know if you can see how big it is or really tell how big it is on camera, but it's a nice size, you guys. I'd say that is it's bigger than a US quarter. I'd say in length size, it's probably about the size of a 50-cent piece, or it's just a nice size. It's really pretty. And it's got its original bottom, which obviously can be removed and, you know, put on clothing or on some other beautiful artifact that you have. Okay, so there's that one. And then, you know, I don't know. I think this is probably from like the maybe the 1960s with this one here. Or 50s, I don't know. I'm not quite sure on that one, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking. About 1950s or 60s, okay, with that one. If it's from the 70s, I'll be shocked, but even if it is, who cares? It's cute. And you know what? They consider 70s vintage nowadays, right? Well, goodness, they're considering 1990s as vintage. You know, my word, I was in high school in the 90s. You guys, I'm not vintage, okay? All right, okay. Okay, so now this next one here, this is like a cameo, but I guess you could say it doesn't have any shell in the back or whatnot, but this is just so sweet. I really, really like this. Just so simple, so feminine, just real beautiful. And I'm not sure if that's the original bottom or not, but it fits and it works. So there you go. And this one, I'm thinking this one's probably from about the 1950s or 60s as well. Nothing further than that though. And if it's from the 60s, it would be very early 60s, like 61, 62. But this is all brass, and this one, I just want to warn you, this has kind of a thicker, so I would, if I were you, I wouldn't put this like in your clothing or anything like that. If you have some kind of shirt that has holes that are already sewn or embroidered in, you could use those holes to weave this through, but I would not advise you to put this through clothing or anything. Maybe a straw hat that's already got space in between it or something like that, but not through your clothing. It'll definitely make an issue there. So okay, so there's that, and I'm sorry if I keep getting out of focus, you guys. I apologize. So here's the next page, and again, I just used some of that real pretty netting in the background that you've seen on the cover. Okay, and then right here I created a raised effect, and so I put another layer of felt, and on top of that I put I cut out just this antique lace from some old trim that I had, and I ran around this oval with some pearl. And then I finished with this sweet ribbon rose here. And then I just got, you know, different little lace bits around. And then here you've got this lovely vintage stick pin. And this, it doesn't really show up very well, but this is an opal in the center. I mean, the fire, it doesn't show up. And it doesn't have a whole lot of fire to it, but I can see a significant amount of fire with my naked eye, but unfortunately you can't. But it's just a really pretty vintage stick pin, and this is the original bottom to it. And then right here we've got just this real pretty metal Victorian style flourish that I thought would be lovely on this page. Okay, and then the next page is blank again for you to create or display some prized lace pieces or whatever you'd like to do there. Okay, and then on this page, let me move back. On this page I've got some real pretty old, I think this is like early 1900s lace. I got it with a lot of other old sewing things that I received. I think it was either from a woman who blessed me with some things, or I probably got it in one of my hunts, which I do find a lot of old sewing things in my hunts. So, but this had actually been it was literally like folded fabric, lace fabric, and I could see the cut marks where someone had cut out a pattern. So this particular bit has never been used for anything, but a part of it was. So someone made some kind of lovely garment or something out of it. And then, okay, so here, this is one of those lace corners that I was telling you about earlier when I got that beautiful set of vintage hankies in the box, never used. So here's what it looks like without other layers on top of it. Isn't that just absolutely beautiful? Okay, and then over here I know they're just tidbits. Let me get in focus here so you can see. I don't like that. Okay, there we go. I know they're just tidbits, but I had to put these here because, you guys, this was from an old garment, okay? Now, this garment was made by hand. It was an one of those old shirts that women wore under their dresses or whatever. Somebody actually sat and hand stitched this pinwheel satin blanket stitch. And so, okay, I had probably about like this much of fabric with embroidery left on it, and that's what this came from. And it was just an old shard from a piece of a shirt or something like that. And I had to honor whoever it was who sat down and did not just these two, I'm sure many more on this shirt and other fine handiwork on the. You know what? People had patience back then. They had integrity when they made things, and they had a really good appreciation for beauty. And so I couldn't. I know they're just tidbits, but I couldn't